age, we're taught different life lessons and values. Working hard, loving yourself, respecting others. But like walking and talking, there are just certain lessons that we learn over time. Some sooner than others, but nonetheless, these lessons help shape who you are and shape who you want to become. For me, it was when I was 23 years old, so 3 years ago, when I realized the importance of stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's a simple concept, and I'm sure all of you guys have heard it before, but a lot of people, like myself, didn't realize just how powerful it is. By stepping outside of what you know, you have the power and you have the ability to reinvent yourself. You have the power and the ability to reinvent your label. We live in a world full of labels. You meet someone, the second you meet them, you start labeling them. You don't want to admit it, but you do, right? You go to a job interview and they practically ask you to label yourself. They ask you, what 3 words describe you? So I'm going to ask you to do the same. I want you guys to think of 3 words that describe you. I want you to ask yourself, what is your label here at Moreau Catholic High School? When I was a student here at Moreau, this was my label. Dancer. I was a part of the dance program. I was on varsity song all throughout high school. I choreographed the Spirit Week dances. I mean, I won Best Dancer during senior year. Everyone knew I was a dancer. But I was also a leader. I was a student ambassador. I was a link crew leader. I was ASB Public Relations officer. I led all the Kairos retreats. I've always just enjoyed being in a leadership position. Now this next one, not proud of, and kind of embarrassing to admit, but I mean, we're being honest here, right? Airhead. When I was at Moreau, I was an airhead. I was not the student that people were known. I was not known to get good grades, pretty much. Academics was not my strong suit. If I didn't like the class, I didn't care. 3rd floor, my counselor's office, a lot of trips there. Same conversation. If you want to graduate, Amanda, you need to get it together. And I mean, I kind of did. I ended up graduating from Moreau. Graduated with a 2.16. Somehow got into college, went to Dominican University. And when I was there as a student at Dominican, my label didn't really change. I did earn the label of reporter because that's when I realized I wanted to go into the news industry. But I mean, everyone still knew me as a dancer. I was on the dance team all 4 years. Still the airhead of my group of friends. Ended up graduating, stayed here in the Bay Area, and I got my first adult job as an online news reporter. And that was my label. And I loved it. I loved having that label. I was so happy. This was a job that I enjoyed. I was here in the Bay Area. I saw my family and friends every day. I loved my life. I was happy, but I was also really comfortable. For 2 years, I pretty much allowed myself to be content with this label. And then I got hungry. I was yearning for a change. I wanted to change this label so bad. And I realized that the only way that was going to happen was I needed to leave the Bay Area. I needed to leave the people that I love, the place that I love, the place that I became so comfortable with. So I applied to grad schools, ended up moving to Washington, D.C., and I attended American University, where I was pursuing my master's in journalism and public affairs. And as exciting as this new journey was for me, I was terrified. I was so terrified. There was just this feeling of discomfort. I mean, I've never been to DC before. I didn't know anyone in DC. And then to top it off, ironic, I was living in the nation's capital during the presidential campaign. And I absolutely hated politics. I hated talking about politics. I didn't know anything about politics. I didn't care about politics. And as you can imagine, everyone in DC talked about politics. And everyone in DC, they just had this different mindset, this different mentality. They were just so smart. And that scared me. That terrified me. Because I've never admitted this to anyone, never told my parents, never told my close friends, but living in DC brought out a lot of insecurities. Why? Because I just remember that label, airhead. For a good couple of months when I was in DC, I would just think to myself, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. I'm not smart enough to be here. I'm not smart enough to be around all these people. How am I supposed to succeed in a place I don't even feel comfortable in? But you know, it was that fear and that feeling of discomfort when I realized I can do this. I can change that label that I got so comfortable with. So I did. I worked my butt off in all my graduate classes. Remember, like I said, I didn't care about academics? Worked my butt off. I engaged myself in intellectual conversations, met and talked to people that I usually wouldn't talk to. I stripped myself of this label that I became comfortable with. By doing that, I received academic awards. I was the top student in my class. I ended up getting a job offer before I even left DC, before I even graduated. A great feeling, by the way. And that brings me to where I am today. Good old Kansas. Talk about leaving your comfort zone, right? When you guys think of Kansas, you probably think of the Wizard of Oz and a lot of farmland and a whole lot of country folk, right? You're right. I lived in Great Bend, Kansas. This is a very small town. Population, a little over 15,000. Put that in perspective for you guys. Hayward, over 100,000. So it was a very small town. I was the reporter out there for about 10 months, and then I got promoted to the morning reporter position back at the main station in Wichita. And this was always my goal, to get to the main station in Wichita. And I did it. I was so happy. I was so happy with this position, and I got comfortable again. I got comfortable with where I was in my career. And I have learned that it's okay to be content, you guys, but never be satisfied. You need to make stepping outside of your comfort zone a lifestyle. And that's exactly what I did. Just a few weeks ago, actually, pretty recently, I got the courage, went up to my news director, and I said, hey, I love being the morning reporter, but I need to start doing some anchoring, because eventually I do want to live back here in the Bay Area. I want to anchor for ABC 7 News. And a few days after that conversation, I got to anchor my first show. I got to anchor the noon show. That was a huge accomplishment for me. Not to mention, I was outside of my comfort zone again. Reporting and anchoring, totally different. And I was really happy. And I look back and I realize, you know, where I am now wouldn't have happened if I didn't leave the Bay Area, if I didn't leave my comfort zone. I honestly can say that leaving the Bay Area changed my life and changed my label for the better. And I stand before you guys today with a brand new label, award-winning reporter. 6 of my stories have won at the statewide competition. Very proud of myself. I'm also a community leader. I'm actively involved in Wichita, Kansas. I'm a part of a youth mentoring organization called Big Brothers Big Sisters, where I'm a big sister and a mentor to this amazing 7-year-old girl. I'm also a part of the county's Suicide Prevention Coalition, where I help raise awareness about a serious and growing issue in Kansas. I'm also a motivational speaker. I've been asked to go to Wichita schools and talk to their students about accomplishing their goals and, you know, the importance of working hard. Never in my life did I think I was going to have this label. Never. But I had it in me all along. I just didn't know it. I had to step outside of my comfort zone. And so remember how I asked you guys to think of those 3 words, your label here at Moreau? Are you happy with it? If you're not, change it. You can change it. If you are happy with it, that's great, but strive to be better. Strive to grow. I want you guys to leave here today knowing that you guys are all capable of amazing things, and you guys are all destined to make your mark in this world. Thank you.